keep that in mind for later. Hello, hello, hello. We're starting here now. So what we started with is not a blank project, but we took this one of the starter projects and kind of cleared everything out to give us a fresh template to work off of. So ironically, the 2D game is going to be more complicated than the 3D games were in the past streams. Well, not complicated, but not as straightforward. But let's start with the Twitter poll and see what people have done. So you've all voted for resources to gain and lose, which is a really genuinely easy thing to do in GDevelop, thankfully. But if you have no idea what Reigns is, please have a look really quick. And let me show you what we're going to work with here. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to start off with something like this. We'll end up with something like this, sort of, with the resources at the top and some text and the characters and names and so on, and some goals probably if we vote on that down the road. So we'll exit that just so you have an idea of where we're going to begin. And so you said resource bars as the first thing we're going to start with, which means we just need to go to the asset store. Find resource bars continuous or separated. I feel like separated might be better. Let's check those. No, these. One of these. We'll go with the simple one here, the simple green. So we have 4 different options. Maybe we'll do all 4. We'll do all 4. So let me go back, because those are continuous bars. We will call this one money. Money. The green one, health. Health of our people. Let's make sure these look okay in the scene. They do. If we preview the game, does the label go away? Yes, okay. Perfect. Because in Reigns, the labels are hidden, so you don't really technically know how much you have and how much you can lose. Orange will go with military. Turn off the label. And then we go with red. What could that be? Noble faction. Sure. And turn off the label. All right, so if I take these and I turn them over 90 degrees, well, negative 90. We'll get something similar to what we had before over in Reigns. Nope, you don't want to do that. Hold on. Make these smaller. Oh, don't connect the width. There we go. You did connect the with. All right, they're all the exact same. All right, money. You have health, noble faction, and military. All right. So those are our basic resources to gain and lose in the game. Now we could have gone into scene properties and gone to scene variables and added variables here, which are pretty easy to do. You just type in a name for money, and then you have a number you can add and lose. That's easy enough to do, but the resource bars give us a way to do that without having to make variables in the game, and we can visually see them then without having to create another bar or resource to display that. So now if I want to, I can go into the game scene here, into the events. And let's say when I click on or when I hover, is hovered. Nope, that's not right. Cursor. When the cursor is over money, if I add a group to the scene, resources, resources. So when it's over resources, I can go resources value, subtract 1. And now we have resource bars in the game, and when I preview the game and hover over them, we will lose the resources. So that's just a straightforward way to getting that set up to start with. And I believe in Reigns, it does start halfway down the middle, because if you go to the top or if you go down to the bottom, you lose either way. So yeah, I think we've done that there, and that should be a good start for us. Now I'm going to start a new poll over on Twitter, and if you have any questions, you can ask me now in chat, and I'll answer them while the poll is happening over on Twitter. We'll start a timer once I send the poll. All right, so the options are going to be add lose condition, create the character cards, create a background for the art, background and the art. And that's going up on Twitter there now. I will send the poll over. All right. The pinned comment now on YouTube is to the Twitter poll. So if you could go over there, vote really fast, and then come on back here and we'll talk about some things while the vote's happening. We can start the counter there now, Boo. Okay, answer some questions here. Let's see. Can you explain what the game is about? I don't know much Russian or English. Reigns is a game about swiping back and forth to say yes or no to people who give you questions about something that you should be doing as the king. And so when you say yes or no, it changes the value of the resources, and you have to try to balance them in a way that makes it so that you don't lose. Because if the resources go all the way to the top or the bottom, you're dead. Let me see. Random question, did you already try to make Kirby mechanics in GDevelop? No, I have not. I don't imagine it would be very hard, though. The animation work might be difficult, but that's not GDevelop related. That's just animating a character is hard. Kirby is very bouncy. Hello, Jason Wells. The 5 minutes is over. Please. I didn't see it on the screen. Sorry, folks. Okay, let me see. Okay. Adding 2 minutes more to the timer. It should have been set to 5 minutes, so it's kind of short. Okay, into the Twitter here. What kind of game are you going to make in this live view? Look up the game Reigns. Reigns. We're making something very similar, and yeah, so that'll be the layout generally. It's a mobile game / desktop game as well, but it is close to Sort the Court, where you say yes or no to different things to get different results. And yeah, all of the other games we've done so far have been kind of shooty bang bang games. So now that we're doing 2D, we can have a chance to, and because of the votes that were done on YouTube, we're going to do something a little more UI based. Make GTA 6. Yeah, not today. Okay, 30 seconds on the poll. Create character cards. Do you make 2D a strategy game? Every Wednesday. Yes, we're doing live streams every Wednesday. To make 2D strategy game. This is a decision game where you do where you control resources. Let me check the poll there really quick. So we're split between adding a lose condition or creating character cards. And so we'll pick creating the character cards because that'll be more interesting. All right. So to begin with for this, we're going to jump into something that's a little more complicated. So bear with me. Bring our characters over into the game scene. And we're going to create an object and call it card back. Or maybe we have cards in the asset store. Let me check really quick before we do that. Card. There we go. Yeah, that'll do. Oh, that brought over everything, didn't it? It did. Okay. How big is that card? Let's go with half that, 300. Perfect. Now, if you take the character here and put it above the card, there we go. We can send this over to a custom object. Card. Character card. And call the custom object character card. Awesome. Move objects from the game scene? Yes. Cool. All right, so we have the card here. So if you look over at Reigns again, if you look at the screenshots, you'll see the characters are cards themselves, usually with the name, I think, below them. Below them on the screen. We'll put the name in the actual card. We'll use a text object and call this person name. We'll call this person Jeffrey. Why not? Make sure it's black. We'll pick a better font than that. We can go to the asset store, thankfully. And my favorite one is Nato Sands. Oh, that didn't save. Project resources, Nato Sands. Select. There we go. All right. Let's center these. There we go. So now in the game scene, if we go back here, this is now a single card. And then we can take this, make a variant. Oh, nope. Sorry, duplicate. Call this character 2, create, edit. And then in here, I can grab the art from the other characters, project resources. Select, remove. There we go. And this one will be called Matt. I'm not very creative with names. There we go. So now I have 2 character cards, and I can take them and make a copy of this one. And I can pick the different default variants. Oh. Nope, I have to duplicate. My bad. Character card 2. Change this one's variant. And there we go. We have 2 cards. We'll do that one more time. Oh, 2 more times. Duplicate. Character 3. Edit. Select. Remove. What should we call this one? Florian. Yeah. Okay, so that one will be Florian. Awesome. And we'll do one more. Duplicate. Character 4. From project resources. There we are. And to make life fair, we'll call this one Boo. For anybody listening, Boo is the voice in my head right now who told me to make Florian. Okay, so that's our 4 characters. We have that done. We'll get rid of the ones here in scene. And our extra sprite object here. All right. So now we have 4 character cards as 4 different objects. I think that's the basics of what we needed there. So we'll stick with that and we'll move on to the next poll, if that's okay. All right. So let me put up the poll up here on Twitter again. So at a lose condition, dragging the characters for yes or no. Oh, actually, no, sorry, that would be step 2. This would be randomly picking. And then set the background and scene. I kind of hope you folks picked that one because it's kind of a bare bones project right now. All right. That is the latest Twitter poll. It is pinned to the chat. Please hop on over to Twitter, vote on that real fast, and we'll get back to the game. Oh, okay. Okay. And the timer's going. Now, if you have any questions while the timer's going, feel free to ask in chat and I will answer them. Have a look. Yes, Florian, you're in the game. It's now canon. You are immortalized in video game. Okay, let me go to the chat and I'll see what questions were there. While I'm answering questions, though, please go over to Twitter and have a look over there. Your favorite font is plain text. I was thinking it's possible to create a 2D horror game as immersive as a 3D horror game. Definitely possible. I've seen lots of 2D horror games that have done a really good job. It's a little more art dependent. With a 3D game, you can kind of just have a character walking around and it's already scary. Whereas a 2D game, you need a little more to sell the experience. We are making Reigns, or at least a copy of Reigns. Can use the 3D driving project to make a Need for Speed game. You definitely can. I think there's already a version of the 3D driving project that has a racing track. Yeah, if you check into the create section, there's a 3D racing. There's the regular 3D driving one, which is just physics, but the 3D racing has a lap, so it has like checkpoints along the lap, along the track, and as you go through the checkpoints, they trigger, and when you get to the end of the track, it counts as one lap and it saves the time. Hello, Mustakim. How to play Reigns. So how to describe that? So in Reigns, when you have the character come down in the middle here, they'll have a text above them saying what they want, and you can either say yes or no by swiping left or right. So it's kind of like a Tinder mobile strategy decision game. I remember you. I see you in the chat there. Can you make a 2D platform fighting game? You can. Again, with starter projects, there is a template. Where is it? I'll find it. Sorry. I've passed it twice. Beat him up right there. Yeah, you can grab that, and enemies will be on screen. And when you click X, I think it is, you can attack them. All right, 48 seconds left. Sorry. All right, so let's go over Twitter, and what do we have? Randomly picking cards. Okay, cool. So that is a good way to start. We'll have these ones off screen here. We'll want our objects to retain their information, so we'll keep them in the game scene while we're working. But essentially, all we really need to do here is set a starting point here in the middle. So I'll use a marker, center of scene. And Pascal is wonderful for this specific thing. Edit points. 32, 32. So I just set that to the center of the object. And then when I place this into the scene, I will find the center of the scene right here. So yeah, this is a 1280 with screen. Check the properties. Yeah. So the halfway point is 640. So we're at 640 here in the properties panel. So that's the center. So we'll use that as the center. And all we need to do is create a group and call it cards. And then add our cards to it. There we go. And now at the beginning of the scene, we will pick a random object from the cards group, and then position the object from the cards group onto the center point. Center scene X and center scene Y. So at the beginning of the scene, that will happen. Oh. So the center pointer for that is not right. Oh yeah. Okay. So the cards are that size. So what I could do, I think there's a center position. There we go. So we'll use the center position of the object instead. And I believe that should, there we go. Great. So the card is now in the middle of the screen like we need, and we will hide the center of scene object. Move this down a little bit. Oh, there we go. So on top of that, what we'll need to do then is pick cards afterwards. So what we'll do is create a scene variable and go state and text. So we'll use a string, which is just text, to say go between beginning of the game and telling it to pick a new card. So we'll just go pick card as the default text. And then in here, we can check a variable real fast, state, and see if it is pick card, the same way it's spelled there. And we'll still do this at the beginning of the scene. Oh, no, we won't. We won't do that. So at the beginning of the scene, we won't do that. We'll move this here, and instead, the variable is already set to state, so that's not an issue. This will happen automatically, and then we'll set the variable to something different. So we'll do it choosing. There we go. So we pick card, then choosing. And then to switch back to pick card again, so we pick a new card. Oh, actually, this will need to be here. Okay. So to switch back to pick card again, right now we will have it so that the maybe when we click on the card, hover card. We'll change this to back to pick card. Okay, so when we're hovering over the card, we'll change to pick card, and we'll use trigger once. All right, let me explain this really fast. So at the beginning of the scene, this is already set to pick card. So the first thing that will happen is the variable will be pick card, and it will pick a random card from that set, and then position that card in the center of the screen. And then it'll change to choosing. So it'll no longer be pick card. All right. So when that happens, then when we go in with the cursor, we can go over the card, and that'll change the variable back to pick card, which will start it over again. So if we go into the game scene, card's there, and if I hover over it with the mouse, there we go. We're switching cards. Now, sometimes it does pick the same one. Oh, they're all here already. Because all four are already in that location. Okay. What we should do then is actually make it so that when we pick card, let's pick all character cards and set their Z order, so the depth they are in the scene. Set that to 0. And then the one that we have picked, we'll set that one to 1. And that way it'll always be the one that's in the front. So pick. Maybe I just got unlucky. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, realistically, what we're going to do is move them off the screen anyway. So we'll move these all off the screen. So X position equals for character, no, cards, add 2000. That'll shoot them off the screen. Okay. Oh, that's why. Okay. That. Choosing. Okay, yeah. So what this will do was when we're picking the card, it'll pick all of them, set their Z order to 0, and send them all off to the right side of the screen. And then the one that we have picked will come back to the center of the screen and go to Z order 1. And I'm getting very unlucky with how this works. Let's just add 200, see if it's working properly. Oh. Did the same thing again. Sorry, folks. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So now they're going over to the side. Great. So 2,000. Now they're gone. Okay. So now, finally, we are picking cards randomly. Great. Okay. That is that. So we have randomly picked cards that are in the screen. And we'll be moving on to the next vote. I'll bring it over to Twitter now. All right, the vote is up there on Twitter now. I will grab the link and put it in the chat. All right, message is pinned there now. So hop over to Twitter, vote really fast, and then come on back here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. We'll put a timer up there on screen while we're waiting. Okay. All right, now let's see what the questions we have. Ooh, chat's going by fast. I'm still struggling to add arrow direction button in my game, my mobile game. That is actually something we can fix right now because it's really fast, if you're interested. So if I go to the object list, assets, arrow, buttons are super easy in GDevelop. It's honestly easier than it should be. So if I go to right arrow here, add it to the game scene, have the object. Let me remove the grid. Make that bigger so it's easier to see. Wow, I chose the worst possible button. Okay, so if I go to the object, behavior, I can add the button states behavior, which is why buttons are so easy in GDevelop. You can go for button states, which is just the basics of hovering, pressing, clicking, and so on. Or you can pick button animations, which will change the animation when you're doing the hovering or clicking. My favorite, though, is scale tween. So if I select that and add it to the scene, we have some options here with some, pretty standard things. But if I press apply, I have this already and preview. Oh, that background is not helping at all. Let's go for something like that. Okay. And preview. And now the button, the scaling. One moment. 10, 10, 9.5. Apply. There we go. So now the button, when I click on it, it reacts like this, but also it is a button already. So you can see me clicking on it and it's doing things. But if I go into the game scene, now I have access to new conditions for the button related to buttons. So all of these right here is clicked, is focused, hovered, idle, pressed, and I can use all of those to then trigger actions to do whatever I want. Hopefully that answered your question. All right, great. So we have 1 minute and 38 seconds left. I'll check really quick for more questions while the vote is happening. Trying to learn inventories in GDevelop, my brain hurts. Inventories are generally just a very complicated thing, so don't feel too bad about it. We do have a few tutorials and things out there, but your best bet is probably to go for the simple inventory example game. If I go to create inventory, right here, backpack inventory, I think is the one. And if you go into that, you can see how it works, or genuinely you can just kind of copy that into your own game. Hope that helps. You are free to ask any questions you want to. Go ahead. Okay, we have 15 seconds left, unfortunately. So I will get to your question in the next break if we have time. So I'll go back here into the Twitter poll. Okay. So according to Twitter, yeah, set the background and art. Okay. So again, Reigns looks kind of like this with the thing here in the background, and we got some text and so on. So we'll set the scene with that in mind. Let's look for some nice backgrounds in the asset store. I know there's a couple really nice ones. Space. We can make an intergalactic Reigns. This works, I think. Let's go with that. Ooh, that is huge. Okay. Make sure we center that as well as we can. Oh, I thought that was a tile sprite. In that case, let's set this to 1280 by 720. And we'll just use that. Perfect. Set it to a 0 or -100 so that way it'll never be in front of anything. Or we could put it on a different layer, but if in case we change some camera things, we'll just leave it like this. And we'll lock the object up here in the corner, so that way we can't mess around with it and get in trouble with it. So now it can't get moved. Actually, we can prevent it entirely by clicking again. All right. There we go. So that's the background done there, and let's get the border in. Border. Oh, no. We'll just use a simple object for this. Border. Create a Piskel, because Piskel is awesome for these little things. And thankfully, Brains doesn't have a terribly complicated art style. That is an ugly brown. Let's go for that. Sure. Background. Or border. Turn the grid back on for us. Set the grid to something a little easier to work with. And set that to -98 so it's not past the background. Have I gone too far? Gone too far that way. Perfect. We'll duplicate this and make one more of these because Rains has another separate thing there, another border. And we'll change that to a lighter color. It's like this palish color there. Border, new, number 2. Save. All right, and put this here. Oh, make this even smaller. And set that to -96. All right, there we go. So we have a simple background there. We have our resource bars, but we can probably space those out better. 32, 32. Make it easier to set the grid. So 3 on that side, 2 on this side. Let's spread that out like that so it's even. There we go. A little bit off center by the looks of it there. Make this a little wider than in that case. All right, there we go. Cool. That seems right there, yeah. We do need the text above it though. So we'll add the character text. And project from resources, we'll go back with the Nato again. And let me get some lorem ipsum. There we go. Perfect. We need to wrap that. Oh, that's huge. There we go. In there. Take out a big chunk of that. Even more. All right. So now we have the text there on top. Almost. and center. There we go. Yeah, so it's all set up. So that looks more or less getting kind of close to what Reigns is supposed to look like. Right there. Yeah. All right. Now, the bulk of how this works is going to depend on the dragging system. So I think I might have to just go with that because we're going to run out of time. And if you folks vote for the wrong thing, we're not going to get there. So I'm unfortunately going to have to take control for this one so that we get that mechanic in before the game is over. So let's add in 2 more markers here. Yes. Rename. Yes. No. We'll set these here. Wait, do I have those backwards? Is yes? I've never used Tinder before. Is right yes and left is no? Let me know in the chat there. Oh, shoot. I did that wrong. This is no. So that should be red. We'll call that one no. Save. And this will be yes. And now in the actual game, these will be hidden. So we'll change their transparency down to 0. And so when I preview the game, then those will both be gone. Yeah, they're not there. And then in here, we're no longer going to change the pick card when we hover over the card, because that's silly. Instead, we're going to go to these objects here and give them the draggable behavior. Draggable object behavior. We'll do that actually. I'll copy this, copy, and paste that in for each one. All right, there we go. So now, instead, we're going to make it so that when the object gets let go on top of the yes or no, it will go to that spot. It will reset the cards. So when the cards group is in collision with yes, actually, we'll make another group and call it answer. And that will be yes or no. There we go. So now that answer group is one or the other. So in the event sheet, if I go for answer, so if the cards are included with answer and the cards were just dropped, then we'll switch it and we'll end up moving the card over, and let's actually set the card's position instead of adding, because then when it's over to the left, it doesn't just go over 2000 and show on screen by accident. So we'll set it that way. And so now when the card's in collision with answer and we've just let go of it, then we'll change the variable and pick a new card. So now these here are all draggable objects now. So when I click on them, and I can move them around in the game, which still works the same way with mobile controls. So now this game works both for mobile controls and with the mouse. So that's what makes this such a good example to use, is that you can grab it whether it's with the mouse or not. And now if I bring it over here and let go, this should now go away, and I should get a new card in the center. There we go. So now I've got a yes and a no option. Awesome. Now in the game of Reigns, when you let go, it also changes these resource bars. And I don't think we're going to get into that this time because we're running out of time. But that's what we're going to move into if we do this again next time. All right. Yeah, I think we've unfortunately run out of time, but we've gotten close to where this is supposed to be in the end. So I'm pretty happy with that part, at least. And in the future, we will do it. If we do this again, we'll make it closer to the actual game with resources changing when you drop the cards onto the yes or no side. Now, before we log out here, before we log out here and end the stream, be sure to check down below. There's a discount code. So if you go to the website or into the engine, you can use the discount code to get a 20% discount off on a yearly subscription, which is a nice chunk of money to take off of your subscription. Beyond that, this game will be shared with everybody after the stream. So we'll package it up, clean up the resources. And then if you want to, you can take this and build off of it and make your own game. The assets in it are all CCO, so there's no issues there. Just obviously don't create a game too close to Rain or else you will find yourself in trouble. But it's there and you can build off of it and make your own game, or you can hold out for the next stream. But for now, that is all we have time for. So bye for now.